The 10 biggest bank robberies in the world. As dangerous as bank robbery incidents can be, it is often exciting enough to be top of the news and on the lips of everyone. A lot of bank robberies have gone down in top cities of the world, and some are still talked about decades after their occurrence. In fact, some are so famous that they have formed a storyline for blockbuster Hollywood movies. Others have even entered the Guinness Book of World Records, while others have become the stuff of folktales. Today, I'll be sharing with you the 10 biggest bank robbery stories in the world. Now, let's get down to the stories. Number 10. The Dunbar Armed Robbery. The Dunbar Armed Robbery is one of the biggest cash robberies to have occurred in the United States, and it happened on September 12, 1997 in Los Angeles. 6 men pulled off this robbery when they robbed the Dunbar Armored Facility of $18.9 million. The robbery was orchestrated and led by Alan Pace, who was assisted by 5 of his childhood friends. The group left almost no trace of their robbery and almost got away with it, but they were all arrested because one of the robbers was sloppy, as he had accidentally gave a real estate broker a stack of cash bound without removing the original cash straps. Lest I forget, they were arrested with 3 other men who had assisted in laundering the money. Number 9. The United California Bank Robbery. This robbery took place on the 24th of March, 1997 in California. It was led by Amil Dinsio, a professional criminal from Ohio. Dinsio assembled a gang of 6 robbers, which included his brother, nephew, and brother-in-law, and flew them to California, where they rented a townhouse in which the heist was planned. Dinsio and his cohorts broke into the bank's vault and perfectly made away with $30 million in cash and valuables. They were later arrested through a similar crime they perpetrated in Ohio a few months after, which led the police to reinvestigate the case, and their fingerprints were later found in the townhouse's dishwasher. Number 8. The British Bank of the Middle East Robbery. This robbery, which occurred on the 10th of January 1976 in Beirut, Lebanon, was orchestrated by a group associated with Palestinian Liberation Organization, who took the opportunity of the chaos of the country's civil war and made their way into the British Bank of the Middle East. The robbers didn't bother to make use of any smooth skills, but instead, they used brute force. They broke into the bank by blasting a wall which the bank shared with a Catholic church, bust open the vault, and made away with around $20 million to $50 million worth of gold, cash, jewelries, and stocks. None of the money has been recovered and no one has ever been charged for this crime. Talk about the spoils of war. Number 7. The Northern Bank Robbery. The Northern Bank Robbery took place on the 19th of December 2004 in Belfast, UK. This robbery was one of the most audacious thefts in United Kingdom history, as this robbery almost ended the North Ireland peace process because it came at a delicate time in the negotiations. Days before Christmas, a gang of masked, armed robbers disguised as police officers forced their way into the home of 2 bank managers and held the men and their families at gunpoint. At the end of the business hours in the bank, the managers led some of the gang members into the underground vault and opened them while the remaining of the gang members held their families hostage. After opening the vault, the thieves loaded a white van with crates filled with cash and drove off with it. Then came back an hour later for the second collection. The thieves were said to have carted away $41 million. After the looting, the managers and their families were released unharmed, and up till date, the crime remains unsolved as the robbers remain untraceable and unknown. The Brinks Mat Robbery. The Brinks Mat Robbery, that was described as the crime of the century, occurred on the 26th of November 1983 in London. This robbery was reported to be an insider job by the Brinks Mat security guard, Anthony Black. He led the group of 6 armed robbers into the warehouse at Heathrow Airport, tying up other guards. Their initial plan was just to steal the £3 million in cash until they discovered additional golds, bullion, and diamonds. In total, the thieves made away with $41 million worth of gold, diamonds, and cash. However, the mastermind and the gang leader were caught and convicted after Anthony Black, the Brinks Mat security guard who led the gang into the warehouse, confessed to the crime. The other 4 robbers remain at large and the gold has not been recovered. The Banco Central Robbery. The Banco Central robbery occurred in 2005 in Fortaleza, Brazil. This robbery was so great that it was once recognized as the world's greatest robbery by Guinness Book of World Records. Banco Central is the central bank of Brazil in charge of money control and supply. The money contained in the vault was said to have been kept to be examined for either recirculation or destruction. Therefore, the bills weren't labeled sequentially, thereby making it impossible to trace. It took 25 gangmen to pull off this robbery by digging a 256-foot tunnel to a position beneath the bank vault floor for 3 months. They rented a commercial building in the middle of the city and posted as landscapers to easily pull this heist off. They stole 3.5 tons of Brazilian real notes worth $71.6 million in 2005. Out of the 25 gangmen that were involved in the robbery, 8 had been arrested while others remain at large and just 20 million real Brazilian notes were recovered. What a stunt. Number 4. The Securitas Depot Robbery. The Securitas Depot robbery is about the largest cash heist that went down in British history. This robbery occurred in Kent, UK, and it began with a kidnapping on the evening of February 21, 2006, and ended in the early hours of February 22. The masked, armed robbers kidnapped the branch manager while his family was held hostage and forced their way into the warehouse, where they tied up 14 members of the staff. The bank manager was forced to give them access to the cash cages, after which they carted away with $83 million in cash. Some cash was even left behind due to the lack of room to take it. Despite their disguise, 5 members of the gang were later arrested and convicted, as the men who designed their mask later became a witness in the case. Number 3. The Knightsbridge Vault Robbery. The Knightsbridge Vault Robbery took place on the 12th of July 1987 in London. This robbery was led by Valerio Visce, a lawyer's son who was already wanted for more than 50 robberies in his native country, Italy. This almost perfect robbery was surprisingly simple and skilled. Visce and his accomplice entered the banking hall during the working hours under the guise of opening a safe deposit box. When they were being shown to the vault, they pulled out their guns and subdued the guards and the bank manager. They then hung a sign stating that the safe deposit was temporarily closed, as they let in more accomplices to bust open the vault. They broke the safe deposit boxes and carted away with $97 million in cash, jewelry, and other valuables. An hour after the crime, the shift changed and the new staff discovered the incident and alerted the police. After a period of investigations and surveillance, most of his accomplices were arrested during a series of coordinated raids on the 12th of August, 1987, while Visce walked freely. Visce enjoyed a brief period of freedom as he fled to South America, but was later arrested when he returned to ship his newly bought Ferrari Testarossa to his new home. Number 2. Dar es Salaam Bank Robbery. This bank robbery took place on the 11th of July 2007 in Baghdad, Iraq, during the Iraq Civil War from 2006 to 2008. The robbery was reported to be an insider job with 2 or 3, reports vary, of the bank's security guards involved. The bank workers were said to have showed up in the morning only to realize that the front door was opened and $282 million was gone. The government also detected that the robbers had contacts with the militias and the local police, which made it easier for them to pass through checkpoints across Baghdad undetected. To this day, just a few details are known about this robbery, as no one seems to have been charged and no further information is known about the people responsible and the whereabouts of the money. But the biggest unanswered question is how a small private financial institution came to have 282 million American dollars, not Iraq dinars, in cash. Number 1. The Central Bank of Iraq Robbery. The Central Bank of Iraq robbery took place on the 18th of March 2003 in Baghdad, Iraq. This is the single largest bank heist in history because the person in charge, not of the bank but of the country, committed this theft. Saddam Hussein used his son Qusay to rob the country's central bank of the largest cash ever stolen from a bank in the world's history. The shocking thing about this robbery is that it was pulled off without a single bullet. They didn't even need a gun or threats to take the money. All they needed was just trucks to carry out the money. A day before the Iraq War began in 2003, the mastermind Saddam Hussein sent his son Qusay to the central bank with a handwritten note and 3 large trucks to withdraw $1 billion so as to keep it safe from the enemies. The money was then loaded into the van and driven away. In the aftermath of the war, money was found in many places, including Saddam's palaces, which turned out to be the stash house of Saddam's other son, Uday. Most of the money vanished into thin air as they were believed to have been looted by opportunist soldiers. The United States caught over 30 service members suspected to have participated in the relooting, and they were convicted for theft. Just like most bank heists, they didn't get away with it. Saddam's sons paid with their lives in Iraq. So did Saddam, but his death has nothing to do with the heist. There you have it, the 10 biggest bank robbery stories in the world. Do you think we left out a big bank robbery story? Let's hear your thoughts via the comments section. We're always glad to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss other interesting videos like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.